with my guest this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you. Let's talk about, for you, an overview of the public transport sector system. What has it been like, over the last 5 to 10 years, for those who are thinking of getting into it, just to get an understanding of the sector?
For the last 10 years, I think public transport in Nairobi especially has transformed not to the best of what we expect. In terms of organization of the industry, in terms of SACCOs came in and companies came in and the issues of franchising came in. So the individualism in the industry started fading and we could see the groupings come together. But we lost the big companies like the former Kenya Bus and the Akambas that were there and the big names that were there doing great business. Now, all this has been done because there has been a transport policy that was brought in by Michuki, which I think a lot of people have not recognized that was the best aspect of what Michuki did. The Michuki rules, in my opinion, were temporary. They were not going to last, and they were politically motivated, so they were not going to last. But he sat down and produced an integrated transport policy, which has formed a basis for running transport in this industry. In other sectors, for example, if you get the road agencies were created because of that. The maritime agency is called what? The Maritime Authority was created out of that, and many other things, including the Civil Aviation Authority, was created out of that. But in the public transport sector, there was a problem, and the reason the problem came was there were no implementation agencies, and in the last 10 years, there was a creation of NTSA, which came in now as the first road agency to manage transport. Before the factors they are doing were scattered all over. Police was doing something, transport was doing something,
so
KRA was doing something.
Was now put under
it
one.
was now put under one. And another thing that has come in is the creation of NAMATA. NAMATA being the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority. Now, these two agencies are the first authorities in public transport or in road transport sector, noting that Airways had Civil Aviation Authority, it had Kenya Airports Authority, Marine had the Kenya Ports, Railway had Railway itself, Railway being, I don't know what it is. It has got many functions. It's a regulator, it is everything. But the road sector was not focused on. And that is something that is now changing, and we are seeing that the government now is starting to focus. If you realize now, the government is now even coming in to start investing in public transport by creating NMS to start creating terminals.
And we will get to that and government's involvement, because I think for the longest time, this has been a purely private sector. And even when there was Kenya Bus, but we will talk about that in a moment. But the Matatu industry has, as important as it is for getting Kenyans, on the move, it's been, people have characterized it as chaotic. There's impunity. That there are rogues who go in there. What is your perspective of the Matatu industry?
My perspective is, yes, there is the rule of thumb. Yes, I don't think we have done very well in the public transport industry, in the Matatu sector. But on the other flip side, we need to look at it that if you create something and you don't nurture it, then it becomes what it is. So Matatu is what we have left it to be. Have we invested in the Matatus? And I normally like this. If I ask you, Yvonne, you are what you are for the training that we got into you, what training institutions are there on the road transport or in the PSV? Other than you got a driving license and you got onto the road. When you left school, you wouldn't be doing the show you are doing professionally the way you are doing it if there wasn't transport. Now you go to railway training school for railway, you go to East African School of Aviation for airlines, you go to Maritime Bandari, as it used to be called, for marine, but there's nothing for road. Then they don't work well, and then you start castigating them. Yes, we have not put money in public transport, whether in capacity building for the managers. Where do the managers? If you wanted to open a hospital today, you would go and get doctors, nurses, all trained by government. Tell me today, I'm looking for an automotive engineer. Give me one.
Good place to leave that. Yes, investment by government and others in the sector before we start to term it as rogue.